Tonight on CTV News, bombshell accusations.
We understand this case has impacted the Iranian community and has generated widespread concern and public interest.
What a former SFU professor found dead said about the two people now charged with murdering him.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm so disappointed.
I don't like it, but there's nothing else we can do.
Skyrocketing gas prices as the war on Iran rages on. What inflation worries mean for interest rates.
I was sitting up on the third floor waiting for surgery. They said that there was a code silver. An active attacker was on the first floor. They locked the doors and had us shelter in place.
Hospital lockdown. Why police arrested a man after searching a busy Fraser Valley hospital and the impact on patients.
This is CTV News with me, Jung Lee.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Patients at a Fraser Valley hospital had to deal with more than a health emergency. Police descended on Abbotsford Hospital after a report of a person with a weapon. That forced a lockdown as police tried to make sure nobody got hurt. CTV's Isabella Zavarisi joins us live from Abbotsford Hospital. Isabella, what have you learned?
Mijung, the hospital went into lockdown at around 2 p.m. when police got a call that a man was inside with a gun. Now, that call stemmed from a visitor who saw the man, alerted hospital staff, who then called police immediately. The video obtained by CTV News from witnesses shows Abbotsford police officers running into the facility with guns drawn. Police did a full search of the hospital grounds and say there were no reported injuries, but officers did not find the suspect on site. While officers were still searching the hospital, police say thanks to witness accounts and surveillance footage, a person of interest was identified. That led Abbey PD to find and arrest the suspect in another part of central Abbotsford near the courthouse. Police are thanking witnesses and hospital staff for helping them identify the suspect. Patients CTV News spoke with say it was a frightening moment.
I was sitting up on the third floor waiting for surgery, and then they said that there was a code silver. An active attacker was on the first floor, and that they locked the doors and had us shelter in place. And then they ushered us towards the back of the unit that we were in, and then we were in lockdown.
But you can see behind me how large that hospital is, and officers are methodically going through floor by floor, room by room, and make sure that everyone is safe. And we want to make sure that a threat no longer exists, if there was a threat in there, before we open the hospital up, and that takes some time.
The lockdown was lifted just after 3 p.m. Abbotsford police also want to dispel some misinformation circulating online. There was never an active shooter at the hospital. No shots were ever fired. Mijung?
Still a scary situation this afternoon. Isabella Zavarisi reporting live tonight from Abbotsford. Turning now to the troubling murder of a former SFU professor who was openly critical of the Iranian regime. Masood Masjoudi was also highly litigious, and months ago he accused two people of plotting to poison him. Those two have now been charged with his murder. CTV's Ben Milger has the story.
Masood Masjoudi was active in the Iranian community and a vocal critic of the regime in his former country. The former SFU math professor also filed a number of lawsuits. So many, in fact, last year the BC Court of Appeal declared him a vexatious litigant. In February, after a call from concerned neighbors, Burnaby RCMP declared Masjoudi missing. The homicide team quickly took over the case.
As a result of extensive search efforts, on March 6, 2026, the human remains of Mr. Masjoudi was located in Mission, BC.
On the weekend, police announced charges of first-degree murder against 48-year-old Mehdi Ahmadzadeh Razavi and 45-year-old Arazu Sultani. In documents filed in BC Supreme Court, Masjoudi accused the two of being aligned with or loyal to the Iranian regime. In subsequent filings, Soltani and Razavi denied the accusations. In November, Masjoudi informed the court of an alleged plot to kill him. Arazu Soltani also specifically asked for a medical substance with which to murder the plaintiff, although it was not the first time she had made that request, Masjoudi wrote in an affidavit. Police have not said how Masjoudi was killed or announced a possible motive.
We understand this case has impacted the Iranian community and has generated widespread concern and public interest, which is why today's update is important. And while the motive is still under investigation, we can say that the victim and the two accused were known to each other and that this was a targeted incident.
Razavi and Soltani appeared briefly by video in provincial court on Monday. The defendants remain in custody and have another court appearance later this month.
And Ben joins us now. Ben, a lot to unpack here. Masjoudi filed a lot of lawsuits. Who else did he sue?
Several individuals and organizations, including other local Iranian dissidents, Reza Pahlavi, the exiled former crown prince of Iran, media outlets, and also SFU, his former employer. Of course, the only case that matters now is the one where Soltani and Razavi stand accused of Masjoudi's murder. Mija?
Thank you, Ben. A man has been charged after a fatal shooting in Surrey over the weekend. Officers were called to home in the 13900 block of Laurel Drive in Whalley just before 2 a.m. Sunday. Police found a man suffering from gunshot wounds. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Another man was arrested at the home. Today, homicide investigators say a charge of manslaughter with a firearm has been laid against 29-year-old Abo Abdel Kurdali. He remains in custody. Police have not yet revealed the name of the victim, who was also 29 years old. They say this was an isolated incident and that the victim and suspect knew each other. An investigation is underway after shots were fired at a home in Surrey's Newton neighborhood. A homeowner called police after finding bullet holes in the door and front window of his house in the 7500 block of 126 8th Street. CCTV video confirmed the shooting happened around 4:45 this morning. Police say that currently there is no indication the shooting is connected to extortion. Spring break is off to a rough start with a powerful atmospheric river drenching the south coast. It's raising concerns about flooding, landslides, and avalanches. CTV's Dimitra Maragos is live in Horseshoe Bay with more on this Pineapple Express. Dimitra?
Yeah, Mijung, good evening. It's certainly a lot drier right now than when we started working on this story here in Horseshoe Bay. We're starting to see some darker clouds move in, and it's starting to sprinkle slightly. But regardless, it's not the way that a lot of spring breakers wanted to start the holiday season. This soaking start to the week is putting a damper on grade 1 student Eli's spring break plans.
It just really bothers me that I can't go really playing, so it's kind of heartbreaking for me.
His mom, Molly Gunn, who commutes from Squamish to Whistler, says the yellow weather warning has her rethinking tomorrow's drive.
So there's probably going to be delays tomorrow, so I may not be able to go to my office.
We're going to watch that rainfall really spread over the inner south coast through the day today and really produce probably fairly significant precipitation over the North Shore Mountains and up the Sea to Sky Highway.
Environment Canada says the prolonged atmospheric river is expected to last through Wednesday, with 90 to 120 millimeters of rain for areas including the North Shore, Coquitlam, Maple Ridge, and the Howe Sound.
We get to the higher elevations where we have a chance to see that heavier precipitation and sort of maybe looking at some of the streams becoming more problematic.
Environment Canada is recommending people delay travel on the Sea to Sky. For one family making a stop in Squamish on their way to Whistler, they say road conditions haven't been great.
It actually made us very concerned about the road condition and the traveling safety and things like that.
The Transportation Ministry says its personnel are monitoring the forecast and all maintenance contractors are aware and prepared with crews patrolling hotspots and extra resources on standby as needed. But trouble on the highway isn't the only risk.
So we've had a lot of precipitation coming off the coast with rising freezing levels. So anytime there's a rapid change in the snowpack, the snow tends to destabilize and become reactive to avalanches.
Avalanche Canada has issued a level 3 considerable avalanche risk. They add that while marked ski trails are safe, backcountry terrain simply isn't.
At this time, we recommend all avalanche terrain be avoided and also avoid overhead hazard to cornices and run-out zones.
And the River Forecast Center has also issued a high stream flow advisory due to the additional rainfall we will and are seeing. Mi Jung.
Okay, Dimitra Maragos reporting live tonight from Horseshoe Bay. And let's take a look outside downtown, Robson Street. Don't see any umbrellas up right now. It is 6:09. A nice break, Caroline, from what we were experiencing all day.
Don't get excited, though. Don't put those umbrellas away just yet, because the rain is not leaving us anytime soon. How's that for fun? Let's take a look at the current temperatures, though, shall we? Hovering right around average. We're usually at about 8 to 10 degrees for this time of year, and that's where we are right now. A little cooler as you head towards Surrey. But as for tomorrow, yes, the rain will continue tonight, overnight, and into tomorrow. We're going to see about 10 to 15 millimeters of rain. The yellow warning for rainfall is still in effect for the northeastern part of Metro Vancouver, Coquitlam, and Maple Ridge. And now Fraser Valley has gotten a rainfall warning. I'll have more coming up on that in the forecast.
CTV Weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises. Make the most of your next trip by booking with those who've been there. Visit expediacruises.ca.
So, Mi Jung, we saw people out and about on Robson, no umbrellas in sight, but that is not going to be indicative of what we're going to be seeing for the next few days.
So kids will be having to pursue some indoor activities, all those kids on spring break this week.
Or play in the puddles.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Caroline. The conflict thousands of kilometers away in Iran is having a ripple effect around the world, including here in Metro Vancouver. From fuel to food, the cost of living is climbing. CTV's Kevin Chirac reports on how the war in Iran could hit your wallet.
Gas prices in Metro Vancouver have surged past $2 a liter for the first time in nearly 2 years.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm so disappointed.
The roughly 35-cent a liter jump in just a few weeks, hitting some harder than others.
I'm a senior, I'm a fixed income, I only have so much money to live on, right?
Very, very tasty. At Full Basket Butcher in New Westminster, owner Victor Mruchkovsky says rising costs are adding up.
A lot of farmers are actually sending the emails to us and sending the letters that they are increasing the prices for the delivery.
Higher fuel prices are also driving up transportation costs for building materials, adding another layer of uncertainty to a Metro Vancouver housing market that had been showing signs of recovery.
Mortgage rates had been starting to fall before this started. And now we have to worry about, well, is inflation going to spike? And is the Bank of Canada either you have to raise rates or even remain on hold, but maybe they should be cutting?
Much of the current pressure can be traced back to the closing of the Strait of Hormuz, a key shipping route that handles about 20% of the world's oil supply.
Anytime that you have a hiccup in supply, especially one as serious as we have been seeing now for going on 3 weeks, you start to create problems in the overall global supply. It creates a hiccup, an imbalance, depending upon where that oil was destined to go to.
Even though BC does not source its fuel from the region, analysts say global market pressures could push prices even higher.
We are unfortunately going to continue seeing prices increase this week, probably another 5 to 6 cents per liter, maybe a little bit more. All depends upon what happens in the conflict this week.
Back at the butcher shop, Mruchkovsky says he's been left with few options but to pass some of those costs on to customers.
Otherwise, it will put us out of business, and we've been on the market for almost 5 years, and no other choice.
Kevin Chirac, CTV News, New Westminster.
Public healthcare advocates staged rallies at the offices of Liberal MPs today, urging the federal government to take steps to quash a controversial bill in Alberta. They fear American-style healthcare could get its foot in the door, including here in BC. CTV's Penny Daflos explains.
From Ontario,
this could be the last stand of universal public health care.
To Nova Scotia,
there's only so many physicians to go around.
And BC,
access to health care should be based on need, not the ability to pay.
Friends of Medicare held a national day of action urging members of Parliament to uphold the Canada Health Act.
The fight is not just about Alberta. It is about the future of Medicare in this country.
Union organizers, patients, and frontline providers raised the alarm about Alberta's move to two-tiered health care and the potential ripple effects.
Our healthcare system is in a very delicate place right now. This could be a crushing blow. Folks who already have a hard time getting access to healthcare are going to have an even harder time.
Alberta legislators passed Bill 11 late last year, clearing the way for some doctors to provide both public and private care.
Patients will continue to receive care through a strong public health system, but will also have the option to purchase services they are currently waiting for.
We anticipate this will increase capacity.
Researchers and doctors across the country insist that's not true, pointing out there's only one pool of healthcare workers.
That would mean longer waits, fewer available doctors, and more strain on the public system.
This SFU researcher says it's also no cheaper.
The United States, a system where you have private health insurance, you have entire billing departments dedicated to billing multiple insurance plans. We have none of that, and that makes our system efficient.
This longtime Vancouver MP and former family doctor insists her Liberal government is pushing back on privatization.
Each province that actually broke components of the Canada Health Act, money from the transfers is being withheld from them, and if they change their bad behavior, they get the money back.
There is already a big loophole between provinces. Today, someone from BC can skip the line and pay for a knee replacement in Quebec, for example. Those cases are relatively few and far between, but with Alberta opening the door for paying for surgeries across town, that could change the viability and very nature of Canada's universal healthcare system. Penny Daflos, CTV News, Vancouver.
What the eastern part of BC has decided to do about changing clocks. Will they stick with Alberta or align with BC? Also ahead.
He's a cool little cat, keeps coming back and forth and says hello to everybody.
There's one Canadian that's not boycotting U.S. travel. Meet the border-hopping feline with no regard for international law and one that often smuggles in items. When CTV News at 6 continues. Stay with us. Road closures have gone into effect near Vancouver's Oak Ridge Park development as crews dismantle a large construction crane. Cambie Street will be completely closed to traffic between West 41st and 45th from 7:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. until Wednesday. The city is warning bus service and access to sidewalks may also be impacted and are advising cyclists to use an alternate route. The Vancouver Park Board says budget pressures are behind the decision to remove lifeguards from a number of popular beaches this summer.
This year, now that we've got the 2026 approved operating budget, our service plans need to align with that budget, and the realities and pressures that we're facing means that we're going to be moving from 10 lifeguarded beaches to 5 lifeguarded beaches.
The beaches that will not have lifeguards this year include Spanish Bank, Sunset Beach, and Trout Lake. The Park Board says they are prioritizing the beaches where lifeguard interventions are most frequent. They say the move will also allow them to increase capacity at outdoor pools. Most of BC already runs on Pacific time, and now the East Kootenay region is set to follow suit this fall. The Regional District of East Kootenay has voted in favor of falling back one last time and move to Pacific time full-time beginning this November. Right now, the region matches Alberta's time, putting it 1 hour ahead of much of BC. But with the rest of the province moving away from seasonal clock changes, local leaders say aligning with Pacific time makes the most sense. The decision will be passed on to the province for clarity on how to implement the change. Some pockets like Golden and the Peace region will stick with Mountain Time. Now to an ongoing U.S.-Canadian border situation that authorities may not be sure how to handle. A charming and some might say cuddly culprit seems to be flaunting international law on a daily basis. And as CTV's St. Alexander reports, this bold border jumper doesn't even have a passport, we don't think.
This is Zero Avenue in South Surrey, and these picturesque homes sit smack on the border. This side is Canada, across the street, the United States. No fences or concrete blocks, just a little ditch and signs warning, don't even think about crossing.
Oh, it's very secure, yeah.
And people follow the rules except for one resident, him. Unfazed by jurisdictional authority, he is the Canadian border-jumping kitty cat.
Illegal. What?
I think it's because he's got 4 legs, not 2.
Decidedly confident, ignoring the watchful gaze of border agents and that machine in the sky that's as useful as the dog as far as he's concerned. Several times a day, almost every day, he shows little interest in international law and carries on his very important work of mousing.
He's a cool little cat, keeps coming back and forth and says hello to everybody.
His name?
Louis.
Officially, Louis Vuitton, like the designer. And his styling cross-border feline feats are now so famous.
I love it.
He's become a local legend and a social media star.
It's a bit mind-blowing. He kind of flaunts his recklessness for the law.
Now, Mr. Vuitton is particularly good at catching all sorts, and he has been known to smuggle the goods across the border and leave them on the doorstep.
I bet he did not declare them.
We're not sure whether U.S. agents have caught up with him for questioning. We do know he had no interest in a TV interview.
Doesn't go through customs. He's got a passport.
If he did, it would show the cat who turned 6 on July 1st, Canada Day, will hop back over the line when he's good and ready. St. John Alexander, CTV News, Surrey.
Very cute. Vancouver Canuck Evander Kane is the latest athlete to team up with PETA to promote kindness to animals.
Weather in the winter can lead to quick death. If you do see a dog in this type of situation, out in the cold, chained up, it is important to contact your local authorities, animal control, law enforcement, especially if they're unresponsive.
The new campaign encourages dog owners to, quote, give a puck about their animals and never leave them out in the cold. Kane called the behavior sickening to watch, saying that dogs deserve to be treated just like family. Salmon arm sensation. As the Paralympics wrap up, we meet the BC woman who is one of the world's most decorated Paralympians, also coming up.
Canada has no intention of being involved in the prosecution of this war.
Under mounting pressure, Donald Trump calls on allies to help open up the Strait of Hormuz. How the countries are responding, that's ahead. Cuba is facing an island-wide blackout, with officials reporting a complete disconnection of the country's electrical system. This comes as Cuba's president warns that the island has not received oil shipments in more than 3 months and was operating on solar power, natural gas, and thermoelectric plants. A massive outage over a week ago affected the island's west end, leaving millions without power. The Strait of Hormuz has become the focal point of the escalating war in the Middle East. U.S. President Donald Trump is urging other nations to help secure safe passage of oil tankers through the major maritime choke point. CTV's Heather Wright has more on the conflict.
Smoke billows from an industrial site near the Dubai International Airport, the result of a drone attack earlier today. It's the latest example of Iran's use of asymmetrical warfare, which includes inexpensive drone attacks like this one and leveraging pinch points like the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. is asking its allies to help open the Strait of Hormuz, Iran's foreign minister said today. From our perspective, it's only closed to our enemies and their allies. With oil prices skyrocketing, U.S. President Donald Trump is under pressure to get tanker ships moving. He has called on NATO allies and countries like China to provide military support in order to reopen the strait. It's not our war, we didn't start it, is how Germany's foreign minister responded to the request, the most pointed refusal. Japan, Italy, Australia, and Canada have also said they will not participate.
Canada is not involved in the prosecution of this war, and Canada has no intention of being involved in the prosecution of this war.
I find the request kind of misplaced.
University of Istanbul professor Kıvanç Ulusoy says he's not surprised many countries are turning down requests to help, as the United States never consulted them in the decision to go to war.
The Trump administration did not do almost anything to let's say, to legitimize it, to justify it.
This war is now in its third week, with the death toll in Iran now more than 1,300, according to its health ministry. The death toll in Lebanon also continues to rise as Israel moves more troops into the south in its fight with Hezbollah, which reignited following the killing of Iran's supreme leader. Nearly 900 people have been killed and 2,000 injured in Lebanon since this latest conflict began, with nearly 1 million people displaced.
At this point, there are no peace talks planned between Hezbollah and Israel. And an Iranian official said today they have not requested a ceasefire with the United States and are prepared for what could be a lengthy conflict. Heather Wright, CTV News, Istanbul.
Canadians were already feeling the financial squeeze before the war in Iran. Now it could get worse. How many aren't able to pay their credit cards on time? Also ahead.
Definitely hoped for a lot of this at the games, and then to realize it as well was a pretty special feeling.
BC Paralympic athlete Natalie Wilkie collects her 11th Games medal, the secret to her stunning success ahead. South of the border now, where strong winds hoisted a barn right off the ground, allowing multiple donkeys to run for freedom. The moment was captured on video, and the structure is thrown into the air, sending the animals scampering away. Luckily, only the barn was damaged. The donkeys weren't hurt and are now all accounted for. Wow, some pretty wild weather. I guess the donkeys didn't get that far if they were all accounted for.
Oh, thank goodness. I was going through a roller coaster there as you were telling us about that, but everyone is safe.
Can't underestimate Mother Nature, though, right?
Oh, no, and we're seeing a lot of Mother Nature here. Let's just not waste any more time and get right to it. We're going to begin with the orange warnings, which is more significant than the more common yellow. Winter storm warning for the Central Coast. Inland sections, 10 to 15 centimeters of snow has already fallen. Up to 100 millimeters of rain will fall by tomorrow morning. Rainfall warning for the North and West Vancouver Island. Rainfall reaching up to 200 millimeters by Wednesday morning, up to 250 over the mountains. Yellow warnings, hunker down. We got a lot of them. Winter storm, sea to sky and Whistler, snow turning to rain. Rainfall warning for Howe Sound, up to 70 millimeters through midnight. Northeast Metro Vancouver, Coquitlam, Maple Ridge. Fraser Valley, a new warning just issued. Abbotsford into Chilliwack, 50 to 100 millimeters tomorrow through Thursday. As for your next 24 hours, keep those umbrellas handy. Periods of rain throughout the night and overnight. Temps holding steady, though. Tomorrow we're expecting, guess what? Periods of rain, about 10 to 15 millimeters. As the day goes on, the temperature rises. No drying trend in store as yet. All right, out there right now, some areas are seeing a bit of a reprieve, but do not get excited because this is what is on the way, and this is the story of this evening. Tomorrow morning, it lightens up a bit, off and on throughout the day, though. We're going to see more rainfall lasting in through tomorrow night and the rest of the week. More on that in just a moment. Let's take a look at tomorrow's forecast. Port Hardy, orange warning for rainfall up to 200 millimeters expected by tomorrow morning. Campbell River, Comox, a wet one, but a yellow warning for rainfall and 11 degrees. Tofino, orange rainfall warning up to 200 millimeters expected through Wednesday. Port Alberni, also heavy rain, rainy all the way down to Victoria. Rain on the Sunshine Coast, 10 degrees in Powell River and Sechelt. Storm warning for Whistler and Squamish. If you do not have to be on the sea to sky, please delay your trip. Lower mainland, periods of rain, 10 to 15 millimeters. But Fraser Valley, again, just issued a rainfall warning for rainfall. 50 to 100 millimeters expected to fall tomorrow through Thursday night. The wet weather will linger around to the end of the week. Look at the weekend, though. A little bit of sun on Saturday. Just a little bit because the rain returns Saturday night. So if you haven't put your umbrellas away, please don't. You will be needing them. CTV weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises for air, land, and sea vacations.
But the temperatures are really warm. I guess that's why they call it the Pineapple Express. Very warm, but wet.
But wet.
Okay, we'll have to get used to that. But I like the forecast for the weekend.
Yeah, little glimpse of hope there.
Definitely. All right, thanks, Caroline. The Paralympics have wrapped up in Milano Cortina, and the athlete bringing home the most medals for Canada is a cross-country skier from Salmon Arm. Natalie Wilkie did not let an accident in high school shop class end her dream of competitive skiing, and now she's at the top of her sport. CTV Shannon Patterson has the story.
Natalie Wilkie was chosen as one of Canada's flag bearers for the opening ceremony at the Paralympic Winter Games in Milano Cortina. And the cross-country skier from Salmon Arm did not disappoint, bringing home 4 medals, 2 gold, a silver, and a bronze.
I definitely hoped for a lot of this at the games, and then to realize it as well was a pretty special feeling. I think not a lot of people get to do that.
Wilkie is only 24 years old, but this was her third Paralympics. She burst onto the scene in Pyeongchang as a 17-year-old, just a year and a half after losing 4 fingers on her left hand during an accident in grade 9 shop class.
I didn't want to sit and feel sorry for myself. I just wanted to get out and, see what I could do and get back into as normal of a life as I could.
While she was already a competitive cross-country skier at the time,
it was definitely hard adjusting to being a para-athlete. You think like dropping one pole wouldn't make that big of a difference, but it took me a long time to kind of like start to learn the technique.
Wilkie won 3 medals in Pyeongchang and 4 in Beijing in 2022. Her 4 podium finishes in Milano Cortina was the most for a Canadian athlete.
This is the exact set of medals that I won in Beijing as well. The 2 golds, the silver and the bronze. And so it feels kind of surreal to like be repeating that.
The Pride of Salmon Arm now has 11 Paralympic medals.
Salmon Arm is such a small community. We're really tight-knit. A student in grade 9 had a shop accident in high school, and I think that really hit the community pretty hard. And so then to see me go on to the Paralympics and succeed and, find kind of a silver lining on a different path, I think that really did hit home with a lot of people.
Wilkie was also chosen to be one of Canada's flag bearers at Sunday's closing ceremony.
It's definitely a big honor. I know that I'm the first Canadian athlete to be chosen as opening ceremonies flag bearer and closing ceremonies flag bearer. I feel like that completed my games experience, kind of like bookending with those flag bearer duties.
After 4 years of training and 2 weeks of fierce competition,
honestly, it's been kind of a whirlwind and I'm definitely ready for some rest.
Shannon Patterson, CTV News.
The Canadian artists who were golden at the Academy Awards last night will have highlights ahead. And
I used to be able to stay on top of my bills, have a few bucks in the bank, go on holidays. I can't do that no more.
Crushed by the cost of living, the number of Canadians living paycheck to paycheck who aren't able to pay their credit cards. Ahead on CTV News at 6.
Time now for tonight's Skywatch from the top of an Aquabus dock with some Yaletown condos just across the water under an overcast sky in rainy Falls Creek.
CTV Skywatch is brought to you by Kermac Collision and Autoglass, the name you'll remember when it matters. Kermac cares for kids.
Taking a look at today's markets, the Canadian dollar traded for just over 73 cents to the American dollar. Oil was down $5.21, closing the day at $93.50 US a barrel. Gold lost nearly $60. The TSX up 335 points, while the Dow Jones was up 388 points. The global economy has been profoundly affected by the Iran war. The price of oil way up, markets bouncing daily, and the ripple effects likely to be felt globally for some time. But Canada's inflation rate actually took a dip in February to 1.8%. Stats Can says prices had increased the year before when the federal government's tax holiday came to an end. And that was a big driver behind the year-over-year dip. Grocery prices were up 4.1% last month, down from 4.8% in January. Many Canadians have been feeling the financial squeeze with housing costs, the price of groceries, and now rising gas prices due to the war in Iran. A new survey finds that 1 out of 3 people is unable to pay off their credit card bills each month, and almost half say they are living paycheck to paycheck. CTV's Pat Foran has more.
Credit card interest rates in Canada can be 20 to 24%, but some cards can be as high as 30%. It's wise to pay off your balance every month to avoid interest charges. But a new survey by Vivi Data found 36% of Canadian credit card holders carry a balance and rely on credit cards when they're short of money. And 49% feel they're living paycheck to paycheck.
Grocery shopping is really difficult. It's really hard to get good quality fruits and vegetables and protein at a reasonable price.
I used to be able to stay on top of my bills, have a few bucks in the bank, go on holidays. I can't do that no more. I basically work and go home.
Food prices are crazy, rent is crazy, so I understand why people would be living paycheck to paycheck.
Almost half of Canadians waiting for their next paycheck is concerning.
And now that 49% number, feeling like they're paycheck to paycheck, that's an incredibly high number.
Not paying off your credit card balance each month also makes it harder to get ahead.
They will use a credit card when they can't make something, can't make some payments at the end of a month. And that just becomes vicious cycle.
Credit counseling agencies say they're also noticing more people feeling the financial squeeze.
People were stretched before this new war in Iran. The price of food, the price of housing, it's all been really, really expensive. But surprise, now you're paying an extra 16 or 20 cents a litre on gas.
The survey also found 58% said they have less disposable income than before, and 71% say rising costs are reducing how much they can save. Even if money is tight, it's recommended you try to pay more than the minimum monthly payment on your credit card bill each month.
When you only make your minimum monthly payment, it can take decades to pay off even a small balance.
Housing debt, both rents and mortgages, as well as expensive car loans, are also putting added pressure on many Canadians. Pat Foran, CTV News.
The glitz and glamour of Hollywood was on full display at the 98th Academy Awards. And as expected, it was a big night for one battle after another.
What a night. You guys, let's have a martini. This is pretty amazing. Cheers. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
One battle after another.
The film scooped up 6 Oscars, including Best Picture and Best Director for Paul Thomas Anderson. Some Canadian talent was recognized too. Korean-Canadian filmmaker Maggie Kang won the Oscar for Best Animated Feature for K-pop Demon Hunters, which she wrote and co-directed. And as for the major acting awards...
This is really something. Thank you to the incredible women that I stand beside. I am inspired by your art and your heart, and I want to work with every single one of you.
Ireland's Jessie Buckley took home Best Actress for her starring role in Hamnet, and Michael B. Jordan won Best Actor for Sinners. Sinners had set the record for most Oscar nominations in a single year, with 16 overall. The film ended up winning 4 Oscars. Tumbler Ridge is officially in the running for Hockeyville's $250,000 grand prize. Details just ahead. Plus, the bagpipe doctor. Adam meets a Victoria musician with an unexpected past coming up on the Sawatsky sign-off. Right now, here's Carrie with a preview of Your Morning Vancouver.
Well, you might be in for some sticker shock when it comes to spring getaways. Tuesday on Your Morning Vancouver, how turmoil in the Middle East is taking the wind out of air travel. Also, it's Fraud Prevention Month. What type of fraud is putting you at risk? More on the crimes that are costing Canadians hundreds of millions of dollars every year. Plus, a special Irish performance for St. Paddy's Day. We'll see you in the morning.
We are getting a first look at what Team Canada will be wearing when they hit the pitch at the World Cup this summer. Canada Soccer showed off its home and away kits for the tournament today. The Canadians will wear a two-tone red jersey at home that features a traditional design with a maple leaf in the center. The away uniform is a black kit with a white cracked ice pattern that is meant to reflect Canada's frozen landscapes. Canadian soccer fans are breathing a sigh of relief after Alphonso Davies was spotted back up and running after an injury. Bayern Munich shared photos of the 25-year-old doing some laps today, calling it great news to start the week. The former Vancouver Whitecaps suffered a hamstring strain playing against Atlanta in the Champions League last Tuesday. The World Cup of Hockey is heading to Alberta. The province will be hosting a majority of the games for the tournament in 2028. The World Cup of Hockey will bring together 8 nations to compete for the title. 10 games will be played in Alberta, the rest in the Czech Republic. The round-robin face-offs will be split between Calgary and Prague. Edmonton will be hosting the semifinals and championship game. The NHL says it received 28 submissions to host the World Cup. The Alberta government contributed approximately $15 million toward its provincial bid.
The impact of this event will echo far beyond the rink, growing the visitor economy, creating jobs, and showcasing our province to a global audience. The World Cup of Hockey 2028 is expected to generate more than an estimated $375 million in revenue, support over 43,000 jobs, and deliver nearly 172,000 hotel night stays.
The World Cup will be the first major event at Calgary's new arena. Tumbler Ridge is getting a boost for its local hockey arena just weeks after the deadly shooting that shook the small northern BC community. It is among several Canadian communities awarded funding through the NHL's 2026 Craft Hockeyville program. 13 winners were announced, each receiving $50,000 to upgrade their arena and advance to the finals, where the final winner will receive $250,000 and the chance to host an NHL preseason game. The two finalists will be announced on Saturday.
Amazing.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty hard to beat Tumbler Ridge in this competition.
Oh, I'm pulling for them.
People do got to get out there and vote, though, so if you want to support them.
But it would be such a boost for that community. Okay, well, the hockey community in Nova Scotia came together over the weekend to help out some young players who showed up to a tournament without any gear. 3 teams from Newfoundland went to collect their baggage at the airport in Halifax to find that none of their equipment made the flight.
Oh, no.
The U11 teams were prepared to return home when tournament organizers put a call out to the community for gear donations. They say the response was overwhelming and within a few hours had everything they needed.
A lot of people reached out to offer support, local businesses, individuals that we don't know, and just wanted to help in any way to create a special moment for these kids.
The annual tournament over March break welcomes 160 teams from across Atlantic Canada.
Amazing.
Oh, they were actually going to go back home.
Yeah.
That would have been so crushing for them.
I just love how the community rallied together, just all for a good cause.
Kids must have loved it, too.
They'll never forget that.
It all worked out. Okay, we'll get to the Sawatsky sign-off in a moment. But first, Lauren, what's coming up tonight at 11:30?
Mijung, we have a new witness account of that terrifying lockdown after reports of a man with a gun inside Abbotsford Hospital. And it may be hard to believe now with the heavy downpour hitting the South Coast, but preparations for wildfire season are now underway. There have actually been a record number of applications this year from wildfire fighter hopefuls, and there are also some new resources for crews to fight those flames. We'll have all the latest on preparations at 11:30.
Yeah, it is hard to imagine wildfire season right now, which is another reminder why we do need the rain, right? All right, thanks, Lauren. A BC doctor has taken up an unusual side hustle, but he's not in it for the money. Adam finds out why the Victoria man traded his scrubs for a kilt on the Sawatsky sign-off.
Ken Wilson is on a journey that began in a Scottish village when he was just wee and fell under the spell of the bagpipes.
I don't know what the magical wavelength is, but there's something about it.
Appreciating that magic is one thing, learning how to make it is another.
Well, there are 2 words for that: peer pressure.
When Ken was 11, his best friend couldn't have been more keen to play the pipes.
I was a little less enthusiastic, but his enthusiasm rubbed onto me.
After signing up for lessons after school, Ken found himself falling in love with the bagpipes.
I can't explain it. It's like a relationship. The chemistry has to be there.
It was certainly there, and remained there when Ken eventually decided to enlist in the Navy.
But the Navy doesn't have bagpipes, so I had to go with Army.
Ken served in Scotland before moving to Canada to serve here, piping perpetually.
It's an instrument of war, so we like to let everybody know that we're here.
Now, Ken is welcoming everyone who visits here by busking for tourists.
Met lots of people and good exercise. Cardiopulmonary is good.
And Ken knows that because he's also a doctor, working as a published medical specialist, teaching as a clinical medical professor, and giving back as a philanthropist.
The busking is I'm not here to make a ton of money.
Instead, the doctor is here to prescribe the public something positive.
I love the bagpipes. It's a pure enjoyment. It's joie de vivre.
While you won't find that diagnosis in a medical journal, this wee lad learned early it's an enduring symptom of making magic. Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Victoria.
The Sawatsky Sign-Off, brought to you by
CapitalDirect.ca. Let's make your vision a reality with Capital Direct. Call and talk to our team today.
I always feel like the bagpipes would be hard to learn to play. Doesn't it look like a difficult instrument?
I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Yeah, it is like complicated looking, and sometimes I think people feel it's polarizing. I like the sound of bagpipes.
You too.
Yeah.
But regardless, what a multi-talented man.
Very talented.
I love that he chose his branch of the military based on where he could play the
Yes.
There you go. All right, let's take a look at the scenic snapshot, shall we? Look at that, a beautiful one from Garden Bay. Thank you, Kathy, for sending this in. If you want your photo featured, email us, scenicsnapshot@ctv.ca.
Yeah, we might have to wait a bit to see that kind of blue sky.
Yeah, for the next 5 days at least.
All right, thanks, Caroline. Lauren's back tonight at 11:30. Thanks for sharing part of your evening with us.
Good night.